Hello all, my name is Bailey Kate. Here's my keyword outline for today's speech about equal pay. 4 gold medals later, equal pay in women's sports is not just a matter of fairness, but common facts that the U.S. women's national soccer team has consistently outperformed the men's team, yet they continue to be underpaid and underfunded, proving it's time we equally invest and stand firmly behind the principle of equal pay for equal work. This is just a small example of what I'm going to be talking about in this speech. This is the U.S. women's national soccer team press, and this is the men's. These 4 stars are how many World Cups they've won compared to the men's 4-1 or 4-0. The Women's World Cup hasn't been around nearly as long as the men's soccer team, but still constantly outperforms the men's team on several occasions. The women have placed in the top 3 teams in every World Cup since their inaugural year in 1991, with 4 gold medals in 1991, 1995, 2015, and 2019, and 1 silver medal in 2011. All while the men have failed to qualify for the FIFA World Cup in 2018, making their best finish in 1930 when they reached the semifinals. Besides that, their best finish was quarterfinals in 2010, 2014, and 2022. Women's viewership is still lower than the men's, despite the vast differences in success. The 2019 Women's World Cup was the most watched in tournament history. It reached a total live audience of 1.12 billion people, or viewers, and 263.62 million viewers watched the U.S. women's national team beat the Netherlands in the final. All things to consider, the Women's World Cup had 12 fewer games than the men's in 2022-2023. The 2018 men's tournament had a total live audience of 3.57 billion, and close to 1.5 billion people tuned in for the 2022 final alone. FIFA said that around 5 billion people engaged with the 22 World Cup. Despite the women's consistent success and dominance on the field, the gap in viewership reveals that success alone is not enough to earn equal support, highlighting the ongoing need to evaluate and invest in women's sports equally. Alright, now we talk about the pay difference between the men's and women's teams at tournaments such as the World Cup and friendlies. Friendlies are just like little games that they play within the calendar year. For qualifying, the men's team earns $2.5 million as a team, and that is split amongst all the players on the team. And for qualifying or like big tournaments, you usually have 22 to 25 players, around that number. So the men's earns $2.5 million as a team, while the women's team earns $750,000. In qualifying tournaments, the men's players get $18,125 per game won. The women's players earn only $3,000 per game won. Once they get to the World Cup, each team gets bonuses for each game won, which is distributed to each player. The men's team earns $4.5 million in the round of 16, $5 million in the quarterfinals, $5.625 million in the semifinals, and finally you win $38 million plus a bonus of $9.375 million. The women's team, on the other hand, they don't receive bonuses for each win, but a 3rd place finish earns $575,000 to split amongst the team. For winning the World Cup, they split $2.53 million plus an extra $4 million bonus. For friendlies, on the other hand, both men and women's teams structure their games similarly. There are 3 tiers, a top, a middle, and a bottom. The women's top tier are FIFA ranked 1 through 4, and the bottom tier are ranked any number after 8. If they were to win a top tier ranked game, they earn $8,500. And if they tie a bottom tier game, they earn $0. The men's team, on the other hand, a top tier opponent are FIFA ranked 1 through 10, while a bottom tier opponent are ranked any number after 25. If they win a top tier game, they earn $17,625, and for tying a bottom tier game, they earn $6,250. These wide differences in pay between the women's and the men's teams, despite the women's consistent success, highlight the urgent need for equal compensation and recognition in sports. The solution is to invest more in women's sports through increased sponsorship opportunities, better funding, and promoting games on extended TV networks and streaming platforms. Companies and brands must step up to sponsor women's athletes and teams, just as they do for their male counterparts. And we could also challenge the deep-rooted gender stereotypes placed on women's sports. We can do this by policies like Title IX, which enforces and expands policies that guarantee equal opportunities in sports, fights against institutional bias, and ensures long-term change. Equality requires a combination of financial commitment, media representation, and being able to make fundamental and lasting improvements to better suit women athletes in this fight for equal pay. Everyone can fight to make these changes needed. Organizations such as FIFA, right here, or NCAA, can set and enforce pay equity standards. Leagues such as the NWSL, which is just like the National Women's Soccer League and the league here in the US, can implement equal pay structures, invest in marketing, and ensure access to top-tier facilities. Sponsors can sponsor more women's athletes and teams and athletes equally and support campaigns that feature women's sports. Broadcasters like ESPN can offer equal airtime, quality coverage, and promote women's athletes as much as they do men's athletes. Lastly, fans and the public can attend more games, watch broadcasts, and buy merch. Nothing will change until we support women's athletes, teams, and leagues. The time is now. The time we invest more in women's sports and pay them what they deserve. The proof is here. The women's team is far more successful than the men's team, but are still being paid significantly less. Organizations, leagues, sponsors, fans, and others can all help to push equality in women's sports. And these are the sites that I used.